In the frozen mountains of Norway, 1943, an operation unlike any other was quietly unfolding, its stakes higher than anyone could fully comprehend. The world teetered on the edge of a scientific abyss, and one small team of saboteurs held the balance of history in their hands. The Nazi regime had embarked on an unprecedented quest to harness atomic energy, a forbidden dream that could turn the tide of war and give Hitler unimaginable destructive power. Intelligence reports trickled into Allied command, hinting at a secret facility nestled deep within the Norwegian wilderness, a hydroelectric plant transformed into the nerve center of atomic ambitions. Despite the forbidding terrain and brutal winter, a group of highly trained operatives volunteered for a mission that many deemed impossible, risking capture, death, and the wrath of the most ruthless regime Europe had ever seen. The plan was audacious: infiltrate the plant, destroy its heavy water supply, and cripple the Nazi atomic program before it could reach a stage that would threaten the entire Allied front. The enemy never anticipated that this mission would arrive on skis through snow-covered mountains, across frozen rivers, and beneath the silent watch of enemy patrols. One man's knowledge of the terrain and unwavering courage became the linchpin of this operation, guiding the team through perilous passes, avoiding detection, and maintaining hope where fear threatened to overwhelm them. Each member of the team carried the weight of nations on their shoulders, their breaths visible in the icy air, hearts pounding with anticipation and dread. They trained relentlessly for months, learning demolition techniques, survival skills, and the art of silent movement, knowing that a single mistake could unravel the mission and seal their fate. The Germans believed their facility was impenetrable, fortified with guards, alarms, and the harsh natural defenses of Norway's rugged mountains. Yet the Allies had discovered a chink in the armor, a vulnerability that could be exploited if courage and precision prevailed. As the night of the operation approached, the saboteurs gathered under a pale moon, their equipment checked, their minds steeled against the unimaginable consequences of failure. Each footstep on the snow was a calculated risk. Each glance at the distant facility was a reminder of the stakes at play. The world at that moment was oblivious to the quiet heroism that would unfold in the shadows, their story that would later be told as one of the most daring acts of sabotage in history. The team's leader, aware of the stakes and the peril, briefed his comrades once more, emphasizing the critical importance of timing, coordination, and stealth. They were not merely soldiers, they were guardians of the future, preventing a nightmare from reaching fruition. The mission was more than destruction. It was a calculated intervention, a strike against the very foundation of Hitler's atomic aspirations, aimed at preserving the fragile balance of power in Europe. The mountains loomed like silent sentinels, the wind howled like a warning, and the snow reflected the pale light of a world unaware of the battle about to take place within its heart. Each member of the team visualized the path ahead, memorizing guard rotations, identifying obstacles, and rehearsing contingencies for every imaginable scenario. The weight of history pressed on their shoulders, yet they advanced with discipline, training, and unyielding resolve, understanding that their success could alter the course of the war in ways unimaginable. The first glimpse of the heavy water plant revealed the scale of the challenge. Massive industrial structures, guarded gates, and the ever-present threat of discovery made the mission seem impossible, yet determination fueled every step. The enemy's confidence in the security of their secret program was absolute, a dangerous arrogance that the saboteurs intended to exploit with precision, timing, and courage. The cold, biting air seeped through uniforms, numbing fingers and toes, but the team pressed on, each movement calculated, each action deliberate, knowing that hesitation could mean death and failure for all. The story of this mission would later be described as daring, audacious, and miraculous, yet at that moment, it was a raw test of human endurance, courage, and ingenuity against the harshest odds imaginable. The saboteurs were not motivated by glory or fame, but by the urgent necessity to prevent an atomic nightmare, to ensure that the horrors of nuclear war remained averted, at least for the time being. Each step closer to the target intensified the tension, every shadow a potential threat, every sound amplified in the silence of the frozen wilderness. They moved with the precision of a machine, yet the awareness of human fragility was never far from their minds. One misstep, one careless noise, and the mission could be lost forever. In this frozen theater of danger and daring, the fate of the world hung in the balance, resting on the courage, skill, and unbreakable will of a handful of men willing to risk everything for a chance to stop history from veering into darkness. Night deepened over Norway's mountains, the cold sharpening focus and heightening awareness. Each saboteur knew that discovery meant almost certain death, yet fear was tempered by the mission's necessity and their unwavering commitment to history's greater good. The path to the heavy water plant was treacherous, snow-laden slopes hiding cliffs and icy crevasses, while distant enemy patrols added the ever-present risk of detection every step of the way. Each member moved silently, skis cutting through the snow, breaths shallow, minds alert to every sound, shadow, and shifting snowdrift. Using local guides and meticulous reconnaissance, the team avoided checkpoints, patrols, and German observation posts, exploiting natural terrain and darkness as allies in their deadly mission. The leader recalibrated timing repeatedly, aware that even a few minutes of miscalculation could lead to compromise and catastrophic failure. As they approached the facility, the massive industrial structures became more imposing, the scale of the challenge sinking in with every silent step. Observation posts, guard towers, and floodlights painted the landscape with calculated vigilance, yet the saboteurs' patience and planning allowed them to move undetected through the frozen wilderness. The mission demanded both stealth and audacity. Infiltrate, plant explosives, and exfiltrate without leaving a trace, all while knowing that the slightest noise could trigger alarms and summon German reinforcements. The team paused in a concealed ravine to synchronize watches, check equipment, and review the plan one last time. The tension was palpable, the silence punctuated only by the wind and distant hum of generators within the plant. They understood that success would destroy the Nazis' hopes of atomic supremacy, while failure could accelerate a nuclear nightmare, leaving Europe and perhaps the world vulnerable to unimaginable devastation. Every member visualized contingencies. If discovered, if explosives failed, if reinforcements arrived too soon. Their minds rehearsed scenarios that combined courage, ingenuity, and split-second decision-making. The leader surveyed the facility from a ridge, calculating guard movements, structural weaknesses, and possible approaches for infiltration. Every factor weighed, every risk assessed, every potential outcome considered. A single snow-laden misstep or careless noise could doom the mission, yet discipline and training kept them moving. Each calculated motion, a testament to months of preparation and unbreakable resolve. The cold was merciless, sapping energy, numbing extremities, yet it also sharpened senses, heightened awareness, and forced the team to rely on training and instinct rather than comfort or hesitation. They advanced through shadows and frozen gullies, inching closer to the facility with nerves taut and eyes scanning constantly. The heavy water plant loomed like a silent fortress, industrial lights flickering within, guards vigilant, and the weight of history pressing upon them with every step. The saboteurs' plan was audacious: breach the perimeter, evade patrols, plant explosives at the core of the production facility, and withdraw before detection. A ballet of precision and daring that few thought possible. Their mission carried the burden of nations. If they failed, Hitler's atomic dream could accelerate, potentially giving the Nazis a weapon capable of altering the war's trajectory and bringing devastation on a scale never before imagined. In the silence of the frozen night, each man felt the enormity of his responsibility, yet camaraderie, shared training, and iron will drove them forward, step by calculated step. The tension was unbearable, yet they remained focused. The landscape around them, snow, rocks, and icy ridges, became both shield and obstacle, shaping their approach with a combination of luck, skill, and timing. They approached the perimeter with care, observing guard rotations, assessing the shortest path to critical infrastructure, and calculating the precise placement of explosives, each action a blend of art and deadly science. The night stretched, each minute thick with anticipation and fear, yet the saboteurs pressed onward, knowing that history would judge the outcome, and that their courage could prevent one of the greatest disasters of the 20th century. Every movement, every decision, every breath was a testament to meticulous preparation, audacity, and the understanding that inaction was not an option. The mission was not merely an act of destruction, but a strategic strike to safeguard the future, preventing the weaponization of atomic energy by a regime that would use it without mercy. Through snow, darkness, and relentless tension, the team advanced, each member embodying a combination of discipline, courage, and silent heroism that would later define the operation as one of the most daring and consequential acts of sabotage in history. Norway, 1943, a land of frozen fjords, jagged mountains, and forests cloaked in snow, became the unlikely stage for one of the most critical missions of World War II. The Germans had seized control of the region early in the war, exploiting its hydroelectric plants and industrial capacity to fuel their ambitious atomic research program. The Allies, through intelligence and reconnaissance, learned of a secret facility producing heavy water, a key component for nuclear experiments that could accelerate Hitler's quest for atomic weapons. The heavy water plant, nestled deep within the Norwegian wilderness, was ingeniously camouflaged, shielded by mountains and forests, and guarded meticulously by German troops and observation posts. Despite the harsh climate and treacherous terrain, the facility was a hub of scientific advancement for the Nazis, each day bringing them closer to potentially catastrophic power. Allied command understood the strategic imperative: destroy the heavy water supply before the Nazis could weaponize it, thereby preventing a nuclear breakthrough that could shift the balance of the war in Europe. In-depth reconnaissance missions revealed the layout of the plant, guard routines, and structural vulnerabilities. Yet the logistical challenge of mounting an assault in winter across hostile territory seemed daunting at best. The Norwegian resistance played a critical role, providing intelligence, local knowledge, and support for the approaching saboteurs, ensuring that the team could navigate the landscape with guidance and avoid detection from patrols and informants. The Allies devised a plan that combined local expertise, military precision, and scientific understanding of the target, recognizing that failure could have catastrophic consequences for the entire continent. The operatives chosen for the mission were carefully selected for their skill, endurance, and ability to operate independently in extreme conditions. Each man carried a unique expertise, essential for the operation's success. The training was exhaustive, skiing across frozen mountains, setting explosives with precision, avoiding detection, and survival skills in sub-zero temperatures, all honed to perfection before departure. The team rehearsed the mission repeatedly, simulating guard patrols, infiltrating mock facilities, and practicing emergency extraction plans, every detail scrutinized to minimize risk and maximize the chance of success. The psychological preparation was equally vital. The men knew they might face capture, interrogation, or death, yet their commitment to the mission and the broader goal of saving countless lives propelled them forward. Norway's winter landscape was both a protector and a threat. Snow and ice provided cover for the saboteurs, but also created hazards that could immobilize, injure, or expose them to enemy forces. The heavy water plant itself was an imposing industrial structure, with reinforced walls, high-security perimeters, and a network of internal corridors and storage facilities designed to safeguard the precious material from sabotage. The Nazis believed their location was unassailable, relying on natural barriers, distance, and rigorous guard schedules to prevent any intrusion, yet intelligence indicated a window of opportunity that could be exploited with precision, timing, and daring. The team meticulously planned every phase of the operation: insertion into the mountains, approach to the plant, placement of explosives, exfiltration, and rendezvous with extraction points, accounting for contingencies and potential complications at each stage. The stakes extended beyond immediate military objectives. Success meant preserving Europe from a potential atomic threat, while failure could accelerate Hitler's access to weapons of unparalleled destruction. The operation required not only courage, but also discipline, intelligence, and the ability to adapt quickly to unforeseen challenges. Each man's performance was critical, and cohesion within the team was paramount. The landscape itself dictated tactics. Frozen rivers, avalanche-prone slopes, and dense forests shaped the routes, timing and methods of movement, ensuring that no detail could be overlooked in the planning stage. The Norwegian population, living under occupation, provided both risk and support. Civilians sympathetic to the Allied cause offered intelligence and shelter, while the constant threat of German informants added tension to every movement. The background of this mission reveals the convergence of geography, science, military strategy, and human courage, highlighting how a small, determined team could stand between the world and a potentially devastating nuclear weapon. The heavy water sabotage operation, while cloaked in secrecy at the time, represented the intersection of daring military action and strategic foresight, a mission designed to prevent history from veering into catastrophe through the unchecked ambitions of a tyrant. Each element, from terrain to training to intelligence, was critical, forming the foundation upon which the audacious plan to strike at Hitler's atomic dream would be built, setting the stage for one of the most suspenseful and consequential missions of the war. The months leading up to the mission were defined by meticulous preparation, as the saboteurs familiarized themselves with every aspect of the terrain, the facility, and the operational risks awaiting them. Norwegian winters were brutal, with sub-zero temperatures, blinding snowstorms, and hidden ice beneath deceptively calm surfaces. Yet the team trained relentlessly, building stamina, skill, and psychological resilience needed for survival and success. Local guides and resistance fighters provided maps, intelligence, and advice on enemy movements, offering insight that transformed theoretical plans into executable strategies. Each operative had specialized training. Some were demolition experts, others ski specialists, and several were adept at navigation and reconnaissance, ensuring that every contingency was anticipated. The strategic significance of the mission was clear to every member. Heavy water was the cornerstone of the Nazi nuclear program, and its destruction could halt progress toward atomic weapons, potentially saving countless lives and altering the course of the war. Allied command coordinated with Norwegian operatives to establish safe houses, supply caches, and emergency extraction points, creating a network that allowed the saboteurs to move with both speed and stealth despite the unforgiving winter conditions. The facility itself was heavily guarded. German soldiers patrolled relentlessly, reinforced by barbed wire watchtowers and searchlights designed to detect intruders at the earliest possible moment. The operation demanded absolute precision. Infiltration required avoiding detection, setting explosives in key locations, and escaping without leaving evidence that could compromise both the mission and local collaborators. Weather conditions posed constant threats. Snowstorms could conceal movements or reveal tracks, frozen rivers could break under weight, and bitter cold threatened frostbite, hypothermia, and exhaustion for anyone unprepared. The team simulated all possible scenarios, rehearsing the approach to the facility, handling explosives under extreme conditions, and navigating escape routes while under theoretical enemy pursuit. Intelligence reports informed adjustments to the plan, including optimal timing for infiltration, guard rotations, and methods to minimize the chance of alarm. Training emphasized not only technical skill, but also mental fortitude. Each operative needed to remain calm under pressure, make instantaneous decisions, and maintain coordination with team members, despite fatigue, fear, and isolation. The Norwegian landscape offered both opportunity and obstacle. Mountains and forests provided concealment, yet avalanches, icy cliffs, and hidden crevices demanded caution and respect for the environment. Each phase of the mission was choreographed with meticulous detail. Insertion, approach, explosive placement, and extraction were rehearsed until actions became instinctive, reducing the likelihood of error during the real operation. The human element was critical. Trust, discipline, and teamwork were reinforced continuously, as any hesitation or breakdown in communication could doom the mission. The psychological weight of the task was immense. Every operative understood that failure might not only cost their lives, but also allow Hitler's atomic ambitions to flourish, extending the war and increasing the scale of future destruction. The preparation period also involved gathering and maintaining equipment, including explosives, skis, climbing gear, and survival supplies, all adapted to withstand the extreme cold and terrain challenges. Technical experts analyzed the structure of the heavy water plant, identifying weak points for explosives, evaluating storage methods, and calculating the minimum quantity required to achieve complete destruction without compromising extraction routes. Communication and coordination with Norwegian resistance members were refined, ensuring that supply drops, safe houses, and emergency signals were perfectly timed to support the saboteurs' movements. The planning and preparation culminated in a strategy that balanced audacity with caution, risk with precision, and determination with intelligence, creating a mission framework designed to achieve a seemingly impossible goal. Norwegian civilians quietly supported the operation, offering intelligence, temporary shelter, and assistance in navigating treacherous terrain. Their contributions critical yet unrecognized publicly for decades. The background of this operation demonstrates the extraordinary convergence of geography, human skill, intelligence, and strategic foresight required to confront one of the most dangerous technological threats of the war. The stage was set, the operatives prepared, and the mountains of Norway stood silent witnesses to an audacious plan that, if successful, would prevent Hitler from realizing his atomic dream and alter the trajectory of World War II forever. As the saboteurs prepared for the mission, tension mounted both within the team and across Allied command. The stakes could not have been higher, for failure would mean the acceleration of Hitler's atomic program and potential catastrophe for Europe. The conflict was not only external, but internal. The operatives battled fear, uncertainty, and the brutal Norwegian winter while anticipating the dangers of enemy patrols, booby traps, and unforgiving terrain. Every footstep toward the heavy water plant was fraught with peril, each shadow potentially concealing a German sentry or informant, every gust of wind threatening to betray their presence. The Germans, confident in the security of their facility, had implemented rigorous guard rotations, routine inspections, and reinforced perimeters, believing that the remote location alone rendered the plant safe from intrusion. Yet intelligence revealed weaknesses, predictable guard patterns, underestimation of local terrain knowledge, and gaps in surveillance that could be exploited by a carefully trained and courageous team. The operatives faced logistical and psychological challenges simultaneously, skiing across mountains in sub-zero temperatures, hauling equipment, and maintaining stealth while battling frostbite, exhaustion, and the constant mental strain of impending discovery. The leader of the mission emphasized discipline and coordination, yet even minor disagreements or lapses in focus could jeopardize not only individual safety, but the success of the entire operation. Conflicting priorities surfaced. Some operatives advocated for riskier but faster approaches, while others stressed caution to minimize detection, forcing the team to balance speed against safety and precision against opportunity. The harsh environment amplified every challenge. Blizzards reduced visibility, ice threatened footing, and crevasses lay hidden beneath deceptively smooth snow, each step a potential trap or delay that could compromise timing. The saboteurs were aware that capture would likely result in torture, imprisonment, or execution, yet the urgency of the mission outweighed personal fear, forging a unity of purpose stronger than the risks they faced. The enemy's vigilance intensified the pressure. Patrols were unpredictable at times, and German officers increased surveillance in response to even minor disturbances, creating a dynamic battlefield of intelligence versus counterintelligence. Equipment failures posed additional threats. Skis could break, explosives could malfunction, and communication devices could fail, leaving the team vulnerable deep within enemy territory. The conflict also extended to human emotions. Anxiety, fear, and fatigue challenged morale, yet camaraderie, shared purpose, and rigorous training helped the team maintain focus, determination, and resolve against overwhelming odds. Time was critical. Delays could coincide with changes in guard patterns, supply deliveries, or patrols, making precision and adherence to plan essential for mission success. Intelligence suggested that the Germans were not expecting an attack in winter, which provided an opportunity, but the margin for error was infinitesimal. Even the slightest miscalculation could alert the enemy and doom the operation. Every member of the team carried the knowledge of what was at stake. The destruction of the heavy water supply was vital to halting atomic research. and their actions could prevent unimaginable death and devastation. The moral conflict was ever present. The saboteurs risked lives in enemy territory, knowing that discovery could provoke retaliation against local civilians and resistance members. Yet the greater good demanded courage and selflessness. The mountains themselves were adversaries. Avalanches, ice and blinding snowstorms threatened to halt progress or isolate individuals, creating natural obstacles that compounded the human and tactical conflict. The enemy's arrogance and confidence became another source of tension. They underestimated both the capabilities and resolve of the Allied operatives, assuming that Norway's winter and remote terrain provided absolute security. The saboteurs exploited every advantage: camouflage, silence, and intimate knowledge of the landscape. Yet these advantages came with the constant tension of extreme exposure and vulnerability. Under these conditions, even a minor slip or noise could trigger immediate pursuit, creating a relentless psychological and physical pressure cooker where every decision had life or death consequences. The conflict of strategy versus environment, courage versus fear, and planning versus uncertainty defined every moment of the approach, underscoring that success required not just skill, but resilience, discipline, and unbreakable will. The stage was set for confrontation, a collision of preparation and danger, where the balance between foresight and execution would determine the fate of Hitler's atomic ambitions and the lives of countless innocents throughout Europe. The night of the operation descended with a cold so sharp it cut through clothing. Yet the team pressed forward, each man acutely aware of the dangers that surrounded them. The Norwegian wilderness was both ally and adversary, offering concealment, but also threatening missteps that could expose them to enemy patrols. The tension was unbearable as the saboteurs navigated frozen rivers, narrow mountain passes, and dense forests, all under the cover of darkness, relying on memory, maps, and intuition to guide their progress. Each movement required calculated precision. The crunch of snow underfoot, the flash of moonlight on icy surfaces, or a misplaced hand could betray their presence, and the consequences would be immediate and lethal. The team leader's experience and calm were vital, directing each operative through the most treacherous segments of the journey, balancing speed against stealth and endurance against caution. Intelligence indicated a potential window to strike the heavy water plant, and timing was critical. Too early and the guards would be alert. Too late, and harsh weather or patrol changes could render the approach impossible. Conflicts arose even within the team, as the stress of the environment and mission pressure caused hesitation, disagreements over optimal routes, and the weighing of risk versus reward. Yet the shared purpose kept unity intact, despite fleeting tensions. The saboteurs faced the unrelenting physical conflict of cold, fatigue, and injury. Frostbitten fingers struggled to manage equipment. Heavy packs weighed down their movements, and constant vigilance drained both body and mind. Yet the psychological conflict was perhaps the most intense. Every man was aware of the consequences of failure, not only for themselves, but for the future of the Allied forces and the countless lives that hung in the balance. The Germans maintained rigorous security, with patrols that moved unpredictably, searchlights that swept the terrain, and a network of informants capable of reporting anomalies, creating a constant external pressure that compounded the internal strain. Every obstacle required split-second decisions, whether to wait, move, or adjust tactics in response to patrols, weather or terrain, knowing that any error could trigger discovery and immediate retaliation. The team employed every advantage of training and preparation. Silent communication, precise navigation, and calculated pauses allowed them to exploit the enemy's predictable routines while mitigating the dangers of exposure and detection. Weather events tested their resolve. Sudden snowstorms obscured vision, shifted terrain, and created hazards for skiing and climbing. Yet the operatives adapted, using storms as cover while respecting the mortal risks they presented. The physical and psychological conflicts intertwined, each moment demanding focus, courage, and resilience. The team had to overcome the fear of capture, the cold that sapped strength, and the constant possibility of death from both environment and enemy forces. The stakes of the mission were never abstract. They were tangible, pressing on each operative with the weight of history, as the potential success or failure would determine whether Hitler's atomic ambitions could materialize. The saboteurs' resolve was strengthened by training, camaraderie, and moral clarity. Each understood that sacrifice, endurance, and precision were essential, not just for personal survival but for the greater good. The enemy's arrogance, believing the plant impenetrable, became a double-edged sword. It heightened vigilance but also created exploitable patterns that the saboteurs had studied meticulously, turning confidence into vulnerability. The team advanced with calculated risk, exploiting weaknesses while minimizing exposure, understanding that every step forward was both a literal and figurative journey into danger, a confrontation of courage against overwhelming odds. The conflict reached its zenith as the team approached the perimeter of the facility, blending human skill, environmental navigation, and tactical ingenuity to bypass guards, alarms, and natural hazards. The balance between stealth and speed, caution and audacity, fear and resolve defined the final approach. The mission's success depended on each operative maintaining composure, discipline and unity under the most extreme pressure. The Norwegian night, silent and frigid, bore witness to this convergence of human determination, environmental challenge and enemy vigilance, as the saboteurs moved ever closer to striking a blow that would forever alter the course of World War II and shatter Hitler's atomic aspirations. The conflict was not only tactical, but existential, a test of courage, endurance, and strategic insight, demonstrating that in the frozen mountains of Norway, the fate of nations could hinge on the actions of a few resolute individuals. The operation commenced under a moonless sky, the saboteurs moving like shadows across the frozen Norwegian landscape, every step a calculated risk toward the heart of the enemy's atomic program. The heavy water plant loomed ahead, colossal structures silhouetted against snow and darkness, guards patrolling with disciplined routines, unaware that the fate of their nation hung precariously beyond their gates. The team split into specialized units, demolition experts carrying explosives to critical points, navigators ensuring precise timing, and lookouts ready to signal any sign of detection or danger. The leader surveyed the perimeter one last time, coordinating movements, synchronizing watches, and reinforcing contingency plans. Every second mattered, for success depended on flawless execution and absolute stealth. The saboteurs skied through hidden paths, avoiding floodlit areas and the lines of patrolling guards, their breaths shallow, movements silent, and senses heightened to every sound, shadow, and shifting snowdrift. Each operative knew the importance of timing. Explosives needed placement at the exact moment, and extraction required synchrony with predetermined escape routes, lest the team become trapped within enemy territory. The tension was palpable as they approached the first checkpoint. The crunch of snow underfoot threatened to betray their presence, yet training and discipline held the team together, allowing them to move with silent precision. Guard rotations were monitored meticulously. One slight misstep could trigger alarms, yet the saboteurs' reconnaissance and observation provided windows of opportunity, exploited with calculated risk. The first explosive charges were set, targeting storage tanks critical to the production of heavy water. Each placement verified, timers adjusted, and safety checks conducted under the oppressive weight of fear, cold, and isolation. The team advanced to the next objective, navigating internal corridors and industrial machinery while maintaining stealth. The deafening sound of distant generators, masking subtle movements but amplifying the mental strain on each operative. The stakes intensified with every step. The realization that Hitler's nuclear ambitions could be destroyed or accelerated hung over every decision, amplifying focus, tension, and determination. Equipment failures, unforeseen obstacles, and environmental hazards tested their skills and resilience. Frozen pipes, icy floors, and structural obstacles required ingenuity and quick thinking to overcome, without compromising the mission. A sudden patrol approached. The team froze, relying on prearranged hiding spots and silent signals to communicate, the seconds stretching into an eternity as human and enemy movements collided in a delicate dance of risk and timing. With guards bypassed, explosives set, and timers activated, the team began the careful exfiltration, retracing paths through snow, shadows, and treacherous terrain, knowing that discovery during retreat could nullify the entire mission. The psychological strain was immense. Adrenaline surged. Hands shook and minds raced with calculations. Yet discipline, training, and unity guided their actions, ensuring cohesion under extreme duress. The Norwegian landscape, once a shield, now posed fresh dangers. Narrow ridges, hidden crevasses, and ice-laden slopes threatened to derail the escape, demanding constant vigilance and precise coordination. The first detonations echoed in the distance, confirming partial success. The heavy water tanks had been destroyed, fires ignited and alarms triggered. Yet the team remained focused on extraction, aware that the enemy would soon mobilize in response. The calculated chaos created by the explosions masked movements of the remaining team members, allowing the majority to retreat safely, while the structural integrity of the facility ensured that critical production lines were irreparably damaged. The timing, planning, and bravery of the saboteurs had coalesced into a moment of near-perfect execution, demonstrating that careful preparation, audacity, and skill could overcome even the most formidable defenses. The leader ensured accountability for each operative, confirming that all team members were on track to designated extraction points, reinforcing morale and maintaining communication through silent signals and pre-arranged signs. Every step back through the frozen wilderness tested endurance. Yet the knowledge of mission success fueled determination, enabling the team to navigate back towards safety without falling prey to the relentless environmental and human threats. The main event, the infiltration and sabotage of the heavy water plant, had succeeded in its core objectives, the destruction of critical materials and the disruption of Hitler's atomic ambitions, a feat requiring extraordinary courage, skill, and coordination under conditions that would have daunted the bravest soldiers. The psychological triumph of the mission reverberated through the team. Exhaustion, relief, and the weight of accomplishment mingled as they pressed onward. The mountains and forests once again silent witnesses to human courage and strategic genius. The main event marked the turning point, not only for the mission itself, but for the broader war effort, as the successful sabotage delayed Nazi atomic research, buying precious time for the Allies and reshaping the strategic landscape of Europe. The retreat through Norway's frozen mountains tested the saboteurs to their limits, each step a battle against exhaustion, frostbite, and the constant threat of German pursuit. The environment, once an ally, now demanded every ounce of skill, endurance, and mental fortitude. The alarms blared within the heavy water plant. German patrols mobilized swiftly, and searchlights swept across snow and ice. Yet the team moved with calculated precision, utilizing hidden ravines, snow-laden trees, and natural shadows to evade detection. The psychological pressure was relentless. Every distant shout, every glint of light, every snap of ice beneath a foot could signal disaster. Yet the saboteurs remained disciplined, relying on months of training, pre-arranged signals, and unwavering trust in one another. The successful detonation of explosives had crippled the production of heavy water, yet the team knew that their mission was only half complete. Extraction demanded equal courage, precision, and stealth. The leader constantly recalibrated movements, adjusting routes to avoid newly discovered patrols and environmental hazards, ensuring that each member of the team remained accounted for and capable of continuing the journey. Snowstorms surged unexpectedly, visibility dropped to mere feet, and icy winds threatened to sap strength and obscure paths. Yet the operatives pressed forward, guided by memory, maps, and instinct, each decision balancing risk and necessity. The conflict between speed and stealth was ongoing. Faster movement reduced exposure time to enemy patrols, but increased the chance of slips or mistakes, while slower movement conserved energy but risked interception. The mountains were unforgiving. Narrow ledges, frozen waterfalls, and treacherous slopes demanded constant vigilance, precise footwork, and mutual support, each operative assisting another to prevent injury or exposure. The psychological relief of partial success was tempered by awareness of persistent danger. While the facility was sabotaged, German reinforcements and local patrols intensified, raising the stakes of every moment in the retreat. The Norwegian resistance provided critical support, pre-arranged supply caches, hidden shelters, and intelligence updates allowed the team to navigate terrain and enemy movements, minimizing risk and maintaining momentum. Every member was tested physically and mentally. Frostbite, hunger, and fatigue challenged their endurance. Yet the shared knowledge of mission importance, camaraderie, and training carried them forward, each step a testament to resilience and determination. The enemy, though alert and actively searching, underestimated the audacity, skill, and discipline of the operatives, a miscalculation that proved vital in allowing the team to move undetected despite heightened patrols. The retreat was a delicate balance of risk and strategy. Diversions, decoys, and silent movement ensured that German forces were misdirected while the saboteurs made their way towards safety. The mental toll of the operation was immense. Focus had to be maintained despite pain, fear, and the knowledge that one error could undo months of preparation and planning. The team navigated by landmarks memorized during reconnaissance, using natural cover, the sound of distant rivers, and subtle terrain features to guide them across treacherous paths and avoid predictable routes that could expose them. The weather remained unpredictable, with sudden blizzards and icy winds complicating navigation, yet these conditions also offered concealment, allowing the team to exploit nature's dual role as threat and protector. The successful placement of explosives and the destruction of heavy water production were the tangible victories, yet the true test was survival through extraction, requiring coordination, endurance, and unbreakable resolve under extreme conditions. Each member supported another, reinforcing morale, assisting with injuries, and maintaining a psychological balance that allowed the group to move as a cohesive unit despite exhaustion, fear, and the relentless environment. The mountains gradually yielded to less hostile terrain, the first signs of Allied territory visible in subtle changes in landscape and reduced enemy presence, signaling that the mission, though perilous, was approaching a successful conclusion. The retreat underscored the extraordinary bravery, skill, and determination of the saboteurs, whose actions not only destroyed vital components of Hitler's atomic program, but also exemplified the human capacity to face seemingly insurmountable odds with courage and precision. The main event concluded, with the team's emergence into relative safety, mission accomplished, yet ever aware of the sacrifices, risks, and sheer audacity that had defined this historic operation. The destruction of the heavy water plant delayed Nazi atomic ambitions, demonstrating that strategic sabotage, human courage, and meticulous planning could decisively alter the course of history, a triumph born of extraordinary discipline, skill, and resolve. The aftermath of the heavy water sabotage reverberated across Norway and throughout Allied command. The mission had succeeded in crippling Hitler's atomic ambitions, yet its true impact would only be understood in the following months as intelligence confirmed the destruction of critical materials. The Nazis scrambled to assess the damage, realizing that the meticulously planned sabotage had set back their nuclear program by months, perhaps years, a setback that fundamentally altered strategic calculations across Europe. The operatives, exhausted but triumphant, navigated the treacherous terrain back to Allied-controlled zones, each step a mixture of relief, reflection, and continued vigilance against the lingering threat of discovery. The destruction of the heavy water supply demonstrated the decisive impact of small, highly trained teams operating with courage, discipline, and precision against a technologically superior adversary. The mission inspired the Norwegian resistance and Allied planners alike, proving that audacity, intelligence, and meticulous preparation could overcome formidable natural and human obstacles. The operational success provided both immediate and long-term strategic advantages. Nazi scientists were forced to rebuild infrastructure, reassess timelines, and redirect resources, delaying nuclear research at a critical stage of the war. The psychological effect was equally significant. The confidence and morale of Allied forces received a boost, while the enemy faced the reality that even remote, heavily guarded facilities were vulnerable to determined and capable operatives. The aftermath also highlighted the role of collaboration. Local resistance members, guides, and intelligence networks were essential, their contributions enabling the team to navigate hostile terrain, avoid detection, and execute a mission of unprecedented difficulty. The operatives' bravery became a symbol of the broader human struggle against tyranny. Individual courage combined with collective planning could confront, disrupt, and defeat even the most ambitious and dangerous projects of a ruthless regime. The Allies carefully debriefed each team member, extracting lessons learned, refining operational tactics, and documenting the event to inform future missions and strategic planning across multiple theaters of the war. The success of the mission reinforced the importance of reconnaissance, preparation, and adaptability. Intelligence that revealed both opportunity and vulnerability proved decisive, showing how information could shape outcomes in complex, high-risk operations. The human cost of the mission was a sobering reminder of the stakes. The physical and mental toll on operatives navigating extreme conditions, facing mortal danger, and executing high-stakes sabotage underscored the personal sacrifices behind historic victories. Every detail of the operation, from timing and navigation to explosive placement and extraction, was scrutinized to understand what led to success and how similar operations could replicate this precision under different circumstances. The destruction of heavy water production disrupted not only Hitler's immediate nuclear ambitions but also shifted the broader war strategy, forcing Nazi planners to reconsider priorities, delay technological advancements, and redistribute resources to compensate for unforeseen setbacks. The mission demonstrated the interplay between environment, human skill, and strategy. The unforgiving Norwegian winter, treacherous terrain, and remote facility demanded a fusion of preparation, courage, and ingenuity to achieve objectives otherwise deemed impossible. The outcome validated meticulous planning, highlighting the role of training, discipline, and teamwork in executing high-risk operations where failure could have catastrophic consequences. The psychological victory extended beyond tangible destruction. The mission sent a clear message to both Allies and Axis powers that small, determined teams could decisively influence the trajectory of war, altering timelines, capabilities, and morale across fronts. The saboteurs returned with the knowledge that their actions had prevented potential devastation, preserving lives and buying critical time for Allied strategic initiatives. The success was a testament to foresight and bravery, demonstrating that courage, intelligence, and relentless determination could overcome formidable defenses, extreme environments, and human and technological obstacles alike. The operation would be remembered not merely for its immediate tactical impact, but for its strategic significance, altering Hitler's nuclear ambitions, delaying weapon development, and exemplifying how daring, precise, and coordinated action could change the course of history. The outcome solidified the operation as a landmark in sabotage missions, showcasing the extraordinary potential of human ingenuity, discipline, and courage when confronting threats that could alter the balance of power and the very fate of nations. The full impact of the sabotage became clear as Allied intelligence analyzed the disruption caused to Nazi nuclear research. Laboratories were left without critical heavy water, scientists faced delays, and the projected timeline for atomic weapon development extended far beyond Hitler's strategic expectations. The saboteurs, now safely returned, reflected on the enormity of their actions, understanding that their courage, skill, and perseverance had altered the trajectory of the war in a way few could comprehend at the time. Recognition, if any, would be secret, yet the knowledge of having prevented a potential catastrophe provided a profound sense of purpose and accomplishment. Their actions exemplified how a small, determined team could influence global events and human history. The Germans scrambled to compensate, attempting to rebuild production, replace lost materials, and accelerate research, yet the window of opportunity had closed. The meticulous planning and audacity of the Allied operatives ensured that delay was inevitable. The mission inspired further cooperation between Allied forces and resistance movements across occupied Europe, demonstrating the critical importance of local intelligence, terrain knowledge, and coordinated strategy in executing complex operations against formidable enemies. The psychological blow to the Nazis was significant. The belief in the invulnerability of their atomic research was shattered, undermining morale among scientists and military planners while reinforcing the notion that no target was beyond the reach of determined adversaries. The operatives' success also provided valuable lessons for future missions, emphasizing the integration of reconnaissance, terrain analysis, local collaboration, and precise execution under extreme conditions. The heavy water sabotage became a case study in operational excellence and risk management. The operation underscored the importance of timing, coordination, and adaptability. Unexpected weather, environmental hazards, and enemy patrols required quick decision-making, demonstrating that rigid planning must be coupled with flexible execution for mission success. The destruction of heavy water supplies delayed Nazi atomic research at a critical juncture, preventing potential deployment of weapons that could have altered the European theater, extended the war, and caused unparalleled human suffering. The mission highlighted the extraordinary resilience and resourcefulness of human beings under pressure. Physical endurance, mental fortitude, and strategic thinking combined to overcome the harshest environmental conditions and the most vigilant enemy defenses. The successful exfiltration was as crucial as the sabotage itself. The team's ability to navigate treacherous terrain, evade pursuit, and maintain cohesion ensured that the mission's objectives were fully realized without loss of life among the operatives. The broader significance extended beyond immediate tactical victories. The operation demonstrated that strategic sabotage, intelligence, and courage could decisively influence technological development, military capability, and the balance of power during wartime. The heavy water mission became emblematic of the intersection between bravery and strategy, illustrating how calculated risk, meticulous preparation, and unwavering resolve could disrupt even the most ambitious enemy projects and secure the future of countless lives across continents. The operatives' success validated Allied planning, training, and intelligence-gathering efforts, reinforcing the importance of small, specialized units capable of executing high-stakes missions under extreme conditions. The delayed Nazi atomic program allowed the Allies time to advance their own research, strengthen defenses, and implement broader strategic initiatives, demonstrating the cascading effect of a single successful operation on multiple facets of the war effort. The outcome underscored that courage, skill, and preparation could counteract technological superiority and entrenched enemy defenses, setting a precedent for future operations and shaping the conduct of unconventional warfare. The team's actions became a symbol of human ingenuity and resilience, showing that with determination, training, and precise execution, even the most formidable obstacles could be overcome and critical strategic objectives achieved. The mission's impact was felt across Europe, as delays in Nazi nuclear research contributed to the preservation of civilian populations, protection of soldiers, and the broader Allied campaign to liberate occupied territories and defeat tyranny. The successful outcome of the operation illustrated the profound difference a small, well-trained and courageous team could make in the global struggle against oppression, technology, and strategic advantage, forever altering the historical narrative and securing a decisive, if often unsung, victory in the annals of World War II. The mission's legacy endured far beyond the frozen mountains of Norway, echoing through the corridors of history as a testament to courage, strategy, and human resilience. The heavy water sabotage became a symbol of how determination and intelligence could confront tyranny and alter the fate of nations. The operatives, though unsung publicly for decades, carried the knowledge that their actions had prevented the Nazis from potentially achieving nuclear capability, a realization that instilled both pride and solemn reflection on the human cost of war. Each man understood that success required more than bravery. It demanded meticulous planning, adaptability, precision, and unwavering trust in fellow operatives, a combination that transformed an audacious idea into a historic victory. The Norwegian landscape, once a silent adversary, bore witness to their heroism. Snow-covered mountains, frozen rivers, and dark forests framed the narrative of human ingenuity, overcoming environmental and enemy challenges. The closure of this chapter in the mission did not diminish its significance. Rather, it highlighted the culmination of months of preparation, the execution of an audacious plan, and the careful navigation through danger, reflecting the extraordinary capability of well-trained individuals to influence global events. The team returned to Allied controlled zones, physically exhausted, yet mentally fortified by the realization that their actions had tangible strategic impact. The heavy water plant was destroyed, Hitler's nuclear timeline disrupted, and the Allies gained precious months to consolidate efforts. The psychological closure for the operatives was profound. The knowledge that their mission prevented potential devastation provided a sense of purpose beyond personal survival, reinforcing the moral imperative that guided their actions from inception. The aftermath underscored the value of collaboration, with Norwegian resistance members, intelligence networks, and Allied planners contributing indispensably to the mission's success, demonstrating that coordinated human effort could overcome formidable technological and environmental obstacles. The operation became a case study in the principles of sabotage, risk management, and unconventional warfare, illustrating how precision, preparation, and courage could yield results disproportionate to the size of the team or resources involved. The closing phase involved reflection on both the tangible and intangible consequences. Tangible destruction of heavy water infrastructure, delayed Nazi nuclear research, and protection of countless lives. Intangible reinforcement of morale, strategic precedent, and proof of human resilience against overwhelming odds. The mission's success was acknowledged in secret briefings and classified reports, ensuring that lessons learned informed future operations while safeguarding operational security and the lives of those involved. The operatives, individually and collectively, exemplified the fusion of courage, skill, and ethical responsibility, understanding that their actions carried consequences that transcended immediate military objectives, influencing global strategic outcomes. The narrative closure emphasized that extraordinary achievements often require extraordinary sacrifice, preparation, and audacity, and that the smallest teams can shape the trajectory of history when guided by purpose, intelligence, and resolve. The operation's enduring legacy served as an inspiration for subsequent missions, demonstrating that with careful planning, environmental awareness, and precise execution, seemingly insurmountable objectives could be accomplished against formidable adversaries. The closing also highlighted the human dimension: courage under pressure, ethical decision-making, trust among team members, and psychological endurance all contributed to the success and lasting significance of the mission. The mountains and forests of Norway, silent witnesses to heroism, bore testimony to the resilience and determination of individuals committed to a cause greater than themselves, embodying the principles of sacrifice and strategy that defined the operation. The final reflection recognized that while historical records may obscure the contributions of individual operatives, the strategic, moral, and human impact of their actions reverberated far beyond the immediate theater, shaping outcomes in ways both seen and unseen. By preventing Hitler from achieving nuclear capability, the mission secured not only military advantage, but also moral clarity, demonstrating the power of disciplined, courageous action to influence the course of history against overwhelming odds. The conclusion reinforced that the heavy water sabotage was more than a tactical success. It was a statement of human agency, intelligence, and the enduring capacity to confront tyranny through courage, collaboration, and calculated risk. The mission's closure cemented its place in history, ensuring that the story of bravery, precision, and strategic foresight would inspire future generations, serving as a reminder that in the darkest hours, audacity and preparation could illuminate the path to victory. The operatives left Norway knowing that their work, though secret, had altered the trajectory of the war, delayed the most dangerous weapons in human history, and secured a legacy defined by courage, skill, and unwavering commitment to the greater good. The final leg of the operation symbolized the culmination of human courage, strategy, and perseverance. The heavy water sabotage mission, though fraught with danger, uncertainty, and extreme environmental challenges, had achieved what many deemed impossible, forever altering the trajectory of World War II. The operatives' exfiltration was a testament to months of preparation, exhaustive training, and meticulous planning. Every decision, maneuver, and calculated risk converged to produce a successful outcome under conditions that tested the limits of endurance, skill, and resolve. The mountains and forests of Norway, once formidable obstacles, had been navigated with precision and care, transforming natural adversities into pathways of concealment and strategic advantage. Underscoring the importance of environmental mastery in high-stakes operations, the psychological impact of mission completion was profound. The knowledge that Hitler's atomic ambitions were delayed, lives were preserved, and Allied strategic positions strengthened provided a deep sense of accomplishment and moral validation for the team. Even in secrecy, the operatives understood the historical significance of their actions. The destruction of heavy water production facilities disrupted the Nazi nuclear program at a critical juncture, securing precious time for the Allies to advance their own technological and military initiatives. The operation highlighted the extraordinary potential of small, highly skilled teams to influence global events, proving that courage, intelligence, and coordination could offset numerical or technological disadvantages and achieve outcomes with far-reaching consequences. The collaboration between Allied command, Norwegian resistance, and operatives exemplified the power of coordinated human effort. Intelligence, local knowledge, and resourcefulness merged seamlessly to execute a mission that redefined strategic possibilities in occupied Europe. The closing phase also reinforced the importance of ethical courage. The operatives knowingly risked life, facing potential capture, injury, or death. Yet the imperative to prevent atomic devastation guided every action, illustrating the interplay of morality and strategy in wartime decision-making. The operation's success had ripple effects across multiple dimensions. Tactically, the heavy water facility was destroyed. Strategically, Hitler's nuclear timeline was disrupted. Psychologically, Allied morale was reinforced while the enemy faced unprecedented uncertainty and frustration. The human dimension remained central. Physical endurance, mental fortitude, and cohesion under extreme duress exemplified the qualities necessary for historic achievements, emphasizing that preparation, trust, and resilience are as crucial as skill and planning in high-stakes operations. The mission became an enduring symbol of the intersection of audacity and precision, the careful orchestration of movements, timing, and actions against formidable odds demonstrated the impact of disciplined, courageous individuals on the broader course of history. The operatives' reflections in the aftermath revealed both relief and contemplation. The sacrifices endured, dangers faced, and strategic importance of their actions underscored the profound weight of responsibility carried by those who engage in clandestine warfare and high-risk missions. The Norwegian terrain, silent witness to the operation, bore scars of human intervention and ingenuity, reminding future generations that even the harshest environments could be navigated successfully with skill, planning, and courage. The mission's historical legacy extended beyond immediate outcomes. It provided lessons in risk assessment, coordination, resilience, and the decisive impact of intelligence-driven operations, informing future military and strategic planning across theaters of conflict. The heavy water sabotage illustrated that extraordinary feats often emerge from the convergence of preparation, audacity, human skill, and strategic vision, and that small teams could decisively influence technological, military, and historical trajectories. The operatives' courage and determination became emblematic of the broader struggle against tyranny, showing that even in the darkest hours, careful planning, disciplined execution, and moral clarity could yield victories that alter the course of history. The final reflections emphasized that the mission's success was not merely a tactical victory, but a profound statement on human capability, perseverance, and the ethical imperative to act decisively against threats that could endanger millions. The legacy of the heavy water sabotage operation would endure as a benchmark for daring, precision, and the transformative power of calculated risk. It exemplified the principle that small, committed groups could change the world through courage, intelligence, and strategic insight. As the operatives receded into secrecy, their mission completed, history would quietly recognize the magnitude of their achievement, preventing Nazi atomic advancement, securing Allied advantage, and reinforcing the timeless truth that bravery, planning, and unwavering resolve can shape the fate of nations forever.